There was a tangible sense of melancholy in the living room of the Horton family. Despite the fact that the area was filled with vibrant and affectionate photographs of previous generations, the only thing that the family could provide was a sense of warmth via color and the history of prior generations. She stood with her arms crossed across her upper chest while clutching to the doorframe at the doorway. Jennifer Horton Deveraux's eyebrows were knitted together in a fashion that conveyed a mixture of concern and determination. It was clear that she had certain inquiries, and she was not going to leave until she had received some responses to those inquiries. And there was Julie Williams, seated on the couch with a cup of scorching hot tea in her hand. She was as animated and as perceptive as she had ever been. When she heard her cousin's statements, she raised an eyebrow since she was aware that this conversation was heading into precarious and muddy waters that, in her opinion, may be a little touchy. In the beginning, Julie decided to put her teacup down and then proceeded to introduce herself as Jennifer Rose. A sense of readiness emanated from her. "I was wondering what you were thinking about, my love, because it seems as though you have just solved a riddle that you were reading in one of those books that you enjoy reading." Jennifer's hands began to flutter as she attempted to put together the words that she was going to say as she entered the room and proceeded to move a little farther inside. After a long wait, she finally let out a breath of relief and sat down opposite Julie. The words, "That's Doug-eyed eye," came out of her mouth as she repeated the circumstances, and her voice was filled with concern. Julie's expression became more friendly or warmer. A brief smile appeared on her face, and she said, "Oh, my sweet Dougie." Her eyes briefly ignited with excitement. "What about him? By the way, is it possible that there is a problem?" Jenny was apprehensive to proceed. She stated, "I'm not sure," in response. "The point is exactly that, yes. There has been a cloud that has been put over him ever since he arrived in Salem. And that has been happening ever since he arrived. I must say, Julie, he is really evasive. Certain queries, particularly those concerning his history, are avoided by him. I am also aware of the times when he appears to be frightened." Immediately after a brief moment of hesitation, Julie flashed a quick smile and tucked her hands into her lap. "Are you being tormented? There is a pretty powerful word that you have there, Jennifer." In response to Jennifer's question, she moved in closer and responded, "I know. In any case, it is the sole word that should be used. Julie, there is something that he is intentionally concealing from us that we are not aware of. It is starting to get to me. The memories and the shadows of the past." Julie paused for a little moment to collect her thoughts before seizing the opportunity, which in any other circumstance would have left her with her typical self-assurance. But this time it seemed as if she were trembling ever so slightly. According to what she said, Doug-eyed has always been a complicated young man throughout his entire life. He has experienced a greater number of challenges than the most of us are even aware of, which is more than his fair share. On the other hand, Jennifer, you have to realize that he is a proud individual, just like his grandfather was proud of him. He is not afraid to admit the shortcomings that are inherent in his nature. There was a small nod from Jennifer. "I am in agreement with you. However, it does not appear that this is an example of ego or weakness. My thoughts turn to what took place with him, and you are attempting to hide it right now. And I can't help but get the impression that it is having an effect on him right now." After letting out a sigh, Julie gazed down at her hands. In a low voice, she muttered, "You might be right. My story, on the other hand, is not about telling the truth. It is up to Dougie to decide whether or not he will reveal whatever it is that he is keeping to himself." Julie was the recipient of their voice, which they coerced from Jennifer, who was sounding more agitated. "I'm not asking out of an insatiable drive for knowledge. When it comes to him, I am worried. His family is my family, and I adore him. But if we do not comprehend the predicament that he is in, how can we be of assistance to him?" At the moment when Julie turned her gaze toward me, her eyes sparkled with tears that she had not yet shed. The very last thing that she said was, "You are absolutely right. In that case, perhaps it is time for you to find out. But Jennifer, you are going to have to make a solemn promise to me that you will behave in a compassionate manner in this circumstance. His life has been filled with a great deal of difficulty and adversity." Jennifer felt her heart break as she listened to Julie's voice because of the depth that it possessed. "I solemnly swear," she stated with complete graveness. "Describe to me what you are aware of." The revealing the truth of the matter. Julie relaxed her posture and leaned back, and her gaze wandered toward the window without her knowledge. It seemed as if whatever was going on outside could somehow bring her varnish back to its original state. "Initially," she stated, "when Doug I was younger, he went through a very difficult period of his life. Because both of his parents had passed away, he had a difficult time locating his place in the world. His hope was that he could find a way out of the misery he was experiencing by moving from city to city and from job to job. Nevertheless, it remained with him regardless of where he went. It was Jennifer's frown. I can only imagine how challenging that must have been for him." "You are correct," Julie acknowledged. "On the other hand, the unfortunate consequence was that he joined the incorrect group. There were other individuals who took advantage of his fragility and were successful in bringing him into a lifestyle that was unhealthy in every way, whether it be financially, mentally, or regardless of the circumstances." Unexpected pause in Jennifer's breathing occurred. "Describe the kind of individuals that they are." Due to the fact that she hesitated, it became very evident to me that Julie was not going to inquire about particulars. "I'll just say they were the kind of people who take advantage of other people's weaknesses," she continued, drawing on my best instincts of caution because she was referring to the individuals in question. According to him, he made some poor choices, and the repercussions of those choices followed him for many years. Yet Dudgy was able to avoid this outcome. Attempting to begin again, he got himself up and tried again. Despite the fact that Jennifer had taken in all of this knowledge, her thoughts continued to race. Is it the reason why he is acting so defensive at the moment? Probably because he is terrified of his history coming back to haunt him. Julie gave a slight shake of her head. The fact that his life has already been reconstructed and that he has put in a lot of effort to become someone that his family can be proud of is something that I think about every day. On the other hand, these kinds of scars and memories are difficult to eradicate because they are long-lasting. Jennifer, her fourth cousin, was the source of her emotional distress. In what way did he fail to inform anyone about it? Julie stated in a straightforward manner, because he did not want to burden us. To a large extent, he has been able to handle everything on his own, just as he had anticipated he would. But I believe that going back to Salem has roused some of those energies that had been dormant for a very long time. He mentioned that being in this location, surrounded by relatives, is reassuring but not simple. The support of a family organization. While she was sitting there, she reflected about everything that Julie had shared with her. "We need to make sure that he is aware that he is not alone," she stated with a strong emphasis. "It is not fair that he should have to carry this burden by himself any longer," the speaker remarked. As Julie smiled, she was overcome with a sense of pride, which accompanied the terror that she was experiencing. "You're doing it the Horton way," she added. I was impressed. "No matter what happens, we will never abandon our commitment to our own." At that moment, Jennifer extended her hand and grasped Julie's hand in hers. "I want to express my gratitude to you for informing me," she stated. "I am aware that it was not a simple task, but it is critically vital. For the purpose of letting Doug I know that we are here for him, I will find a means to get in touch with him." The expression on Julie's face conveyed a mixture of anticipation and apprehension as she confidently held her hand. "Make sure you don't forget, Jennifer, that he has gone through a lot. Make an effort to be patient with him. When he is ready, he will demonstrate his capabilities." Taking a solemn commitment, Jennifer stated, "I will." In addition, when that day arrives, he will be aware that he is adored without conditions by a family that is altogether around him. It's the beginning of a new chapter. On the day that Jennifer left the Horton house, her thoughts were like a cyclone of fear and determination, and they were traveling around her mind like a tornado. Doug Ioi had been carrying a great weight for a much longer period of time than would have been appropriate, and it was time for him to realize that he did not have to struggle through it by himself. On the other hand, she was determined not to set him off, so she did the one thing she could think of to avoid upsetting him. She was kind to him. When everything was said and done, Salem was centered around family, and the Hortons had always been a source of inspiration and support for one another as they navigated the waters of life. She went back to her house with a refreshed feeling of purpose, prepared to act in whatever way that was required to assist her cousin in recovering from the injuries he had sustained. She was aware that the path that lay ahead of them would not be simple, but she was also certain that as long as they had each other, they would be able to triumph over any challenge. Aromas of coffee and chowder mixed together in the Brady pub, which was dark and buzzing with the warmth that had become distinguishing characteristics of the establishment. Tate Black was seated at a corner booth opposite Sofia Vargas of the same name. In her eyes, Sofia Vargas appeared to be exhibiting a strange mixture of hesitancy and desperation. The strong sense of devotion that Tate's father Brady instilled in him and the intense drive that his mother Theresa instilled in him were the two factors that contributed to Tate's exceptional intelligence throughout his entire life. At the end of this evening, however, as he listened to Sofia's account of her struggles, he experienced a significant increase in his resolve to assist her. Sofia was a stunning young lady who appeared to possess a mysterious quality, and she had just lately relocated to Salem. She was a young woman, not just because of her attractiveness, but also because of the serene strength that she carried like an anchor despite the weight of her problems. She had immediately piqued Tate's interest. She was able to capture his attention. Tate was fidgeting with her napkin, and she had a feeling that something significant was going to take place. As she began, Sofia's voice was hardly audible above a whisper. "Tate, I am at a loss for what to do about this situation. Still, I was under the impression that I could handle this. I had a different perspective on the size of it." Tate leaned closer, his body language illuminating the fact that he was being sincere. "It is not necessary for you to go through this by yourself, Sofia. In whatever form it may take, we will work together to find a solution. From the very first step forward, we will begin." She took a momentary pause, but her dark eyes darted about the room as if she were looking for shadows that were concealed within the shadows. Finally, she inhaled deeply and exhaled slowly after taking a deep breath in. The statement, "It's about my family," was made by her herself. "It is because of me that they are in danger, and I am the one who is responsible for this situation." The instincts of protection that Tate possesses kicked in, and he frowned. What kind of peril are we facing right now? When we talk about dangers, are we referring to the possibility of encountering a physical danger? Are you concerned about cost? It was a small nod from Sofia, and her voice was shaking. "I concur with you. My father made the mistake of associating with the wrong group of people, which eventually was detrimental to his well-being. He had the impression that he could get away, but now they are looking for him. In the event that they are unable to capture him, they will pursue me." Tate's jaw tightened up from the tension. He detested the fact that she was quite defenseless. "Do you have any idea who these individuals are?" There was a tremor in Sofia's head. "In no way, shape, or form. Despite the fact that my father is unwilling to disclose all of the information to me, I have heard enough to know that it is a serious situation. The collector is the name of a man who lives there. His name is Victor Laurent. He will not accept no as an answer under any circumstances." Tate experienced a chill that raced down his spine as soon as he heard the word. According to what his father and uncle had informed him, Victor Laurent was a smuggler who operated on a global scale and had a talent for vanishing individuals. His ears had picked up on certain remarks made regarding Victor Laurent. "I was curious as to why you hadn't come to me earlier for whatever reason," Tate inquired, his tone becoming muted as he did so. "I didn't want to drag you into this," Sofia continues, and she is quite correct in her assessment. "In the short time that I have been in Salem, you have already saved me a significant amount of time and effort. In addition, putting you in danger would be an irresponsible thing for me to do." Tate leaned across the table and placed his hand on top of hers using his hand. "I'm already involved, Sofia," she said. "I'm involved. In addition to the fact that you are my buddy, other people also refer to you as a friend. I am not going to take a passive stance and watch this unfold without taking any action." Is this a plan? She nodded, and she felt the weight lifted off of her shoulders. Her eyes, which were choked up, gleamed with tears that had not yet fallen since she had not yet shed them. What choices are available to us? The options were already rushing through Tate's thoughts at a rapid pace. The first thing we need is some specifics. In the event that such a Victor Laurent is determined to be the person responsible for this, we need to have evidence of what he has done and discuss ways in which we can safeguard you and your father. I will call my father. In the past, he has been in the company of potentially harmful individuals. It will be clear to him what he needs to do. A narrowing of Sophia's pupils occurred. Where does Brady stand? Oh, Tate, I truly do not know. Simply put, this is a really challenging environment. I don't want to engage anyone else in this situation. Tate made a rigid movement with his head. My father is connected to a wide variety of individuals and resources. His ability to help us is a given. The statement that he would be interested to know if someone is threatening the people I care about is the most exciting part of the situation. While Sophia did not proceed to argue with the man, she did experience a minor flush as a result of the insinuation. Also, if we require additional assistance, I will get in touch with John Black, Tate added. In the past, my grandfather did have people who were similar like Laurent. Within the context of this game, my father and I will be able to gain the upper hand because of the initial step. As the day progressed, Tate and Sophia made their way to the Kyriakis estate in order to see Brady. In addition to the high ceilings and the frightening presence, the large estate gave off the impression that it was even more terrifying than it normally would have been. Brady listened more attentively as Sophia told her narrative, his expression becoming more serious with each passing second. His attitude was increasingly gloomy. Brady said, "This Victor Laurent is horrible news, despite the fact that he was walking around the room. He is someone I have known since I was a child. We are dealing with someone who is not going to give up easily if it is established that he was in on it. And if he is in for it, we are dealing with someone who is for it." This was not a change in comfort, despite the fact that Sophia's seat grumbled. I am especially concerned about that particular aspect. I do not wish for other people to go through pain as a result of the activities that I have taken. Brady halted his pacing and crouched down next to her, his tone becoming more gentle each time. "Sophia, you are not to blame for this event. You are going to receive assistance from us, despite the fact that your father made some poor decisions. In our group, we have become like family, and in Salem, we look out for those who are close to us." Tate experienced a surge of pride as a result of his father's comments. Despite the fact that they had a troubled past together, Brady had always instilled in him the value of sticking up for family, reminding him that family does not necessarily consist of blood relatives. In continuation, Brady stated, "We are going to begin by conducting an investigation into Laurent's operations. Therefore, I will give you a call and find out what is going on. You two are not allowed to leave during this time. Please do not go anywhere by yourself. And if you come across anything that seems questionable, please report it to me as soon as possible." Growing ties between the two. Tate provided Sophia with a reassuring touch by placing his hand on her back as they were leaving the estate. The tension that was building up between them was tangible despite the fact that the night air was chilly and Salem streets were completely still. As she looked up at him, Sophia expressed her gratitude by saying, "Thank you. As a result of everything, with you gone, what am I going to do with my life?" The smile on Tate's face demonstrated that his arrogance was unabated. "That is not anything that you should be concerned about, Sophia. Not at all. I am not going anywhere at this time." The moment they strolled along in quiet for a brief period of time only served to strengthen the connection that they had. He admitted that there was a possibility of danger involved, but there was also a sense of hope, which he described as a desire to collaborate with one another. It wouldn't be long before Tate realized that this was just the beginning. But for the time being, he was prepared for fight. He broke the hush that had engulfed them by saying, "Tomorrow, we will begin putting this puzzle together that we have been working on. Sophia, we are going to get that Laurent to get down on his knees. Let me reassure you that it is true." Sophia gave a slight nod, her intention being identical to his. "Both you and Tate have my whole confidence. Moreover, I will not rest until I have ensured that no one else is harmed in the process of carrying out this mission." It appears that Tate had a difficult time letting her leave when they arrived at her apartment because he lingered there for a bit longer than was technically required. And at that moment, he was telling her that she was not the only one doing this. She continued to speak with a firm tone as she added, "I know. More importantly, that is the most significant variable." Tate was left standing on the porch by alone, his mind already calculating the next measures to take, as she made her way into the house while making a pronouncement about what she had just done. There was little doubt that the purpose of safeguarding Sophia was to prevent Victor Laurent from continuing his criminal activities. Yet, it was also to demonstrate that no one in Salem was forced to confront their demons by alone.